Hi guys, welcome back to IFRS Easy. I'm Arida Amulautu and I talk about financial reporting. I also talk about relocation. Today I'll be responding to one important question that I was asked with respect to what are those things to look out for when you get a job offer and when you get an offer letter from a Canadian company or a recruiter from the UK. What are the things to actually look out for so that you don't fall into the trap of scammers. So we'll be discussing that, and I'll also be sharing my own personal experience and the experience that some of my friends or those that have reached out to me that they shared with me. So I'll be sharing that, and I'll also be giving examples so that you don't fall into that the trap of scammers. All right, so let's get started. The rule of thumb is that if it is too good to be true, then it is too good to be true. And one major important thing to take note of is that when it comes to red flags as to getting a job in Canada or UK, you want to make sure that at no point in time will any recruiter ask you to pay them. Once a recruiter starts talking about you paying them, then you have to know that that's a very big red flag. I'll give you an example. So somebody was chatting me some weeks ago. I was talking about the fact that they actually they went through the interview process, they were interviewed, they were given an offer letter, and so on and so forth. And so what happened is that those guys actually now sent the person a mail. They requested for the person's PO box address, and they sent them a letter, and they also sent them a check to actually withdraw funds as a result of the interview process and all. Yeah, so what happened is that the person actually took it to the bank, and because of the way banks work here, when you take it to the bank, they actually pay you. Now, so this example I'm giving is somebody that is already in Canada, that already is residing in Canada as a permanent resident, was looking for a job. So they've done the interview process, everything went fine, and then they now send the person a mail saying that you've received a check and you should use that check, you should cash it out in order to get yourself prepared to start the work. So this person took it to the bank, they credited the person's account, because the way banks work here is that they actually credit your account when you present a check, then it is now after that they will now make their processing. So after they've processed it, if they find out that what you have presented is not good, what they do is whatever amount that you have in your account, they reverse it. Now, so what those recruiters did is that they contacted that person, gave the person the check, said the person should withdraw, and then now said that, what they've done is that the amount that they put on that check was way more than what they expected. So they wanted the person to refund some part of it. So that was what they did, to say that, you should refund part of what they have already given to you. Meanwhile, you've cashed it from the bank. But the problem with something like that is that the bank will actually cash it to you, but if they are unable to clear it, they take it back from your account. So that's one of the scams that goes around when it comes to jobs. And I'll be listing out some major red flags that you have to take cognizance of when you're actually applying to a job either in Canada or in the UK. So if you're actually told to pay the recruiter, if at any point in time the recruiter tells you to pay, they might even tell you to pay for LMI. LMI means Labor Market Impact Assessment. And in Canada here, it is the recruiter that makes that kind of payment. They make the payment to get an approval from the Canadian government that they have been approved to employ foreign workers. So when you hear any recruiter tell you to pay for LMI, just run. Because what that means is that the person is a scammer. You are not supposed to pay for LMI. Now, another thing you are not supposed to pay for is training. If any recruiter tells you that they need to give you some training and they need to pay you for it, and you need to pay for that, then you have to run, because either LMI, either training, for whatever reason, you are not supposed to pay anything to your recruiter. In fact, when it comes to training, it is the recruiter that is supposed to pay you. It's the employer that is supposed to pay you to train you. So you do not, it is a big red flag when a recruiter is telling you to pay. Now, another red flag is when they send you a job offer letter and you see something like what I'm showing on the screen here, showing logo of Canada and the rest, just know that there's a high chance that this is actually a real one that they sent to somebody that reached out to me via mail to confirm if this is authentic or not. I mean, the logo was showing Canada logo and the rest, and they called it an offer letter. There is no recruiter that will actually do that. Now, another thing to take cognizance of is with respect to the offer letter itself. The offer letter is supposed to be bearing the logo, that is the letterhead of the company that is recruiting you. They don't need to be putting Canada logo and the rest there, or Canada background, watermark, whatsoever. Once you start seeing something like that, you should actually know that this is most likely a scammer. I mean, when it comes to the offer letter. Another thing you have to take cognizance of is that if you find it difficult to find the recruiter's contact details, whether via mail or whatever, then you have to run. If you are unable to find the recruiter's contact details, or you go to LinkedIn, you can't find anything that relates to the company at all, whether they have employees or not, then that's a problem. Because the first thing is you are supposed to make your research whenever any recruiter reaches out to you about a particular job offer. Now, another thing that is crucial is when it comes to being contacted via email address. And what you want to do is you want to also make sure that the email address looks legit, in the sense that normally if you see anybody using @gmail.com or at yahoo.com, there's a high chance that that person could actually not be legit, because oftentimes many companies always have a business address, and the fact that they have a business address does not even mean that it is legit, but at least it should give you a little bit of comfort that if they actually do have a business address, there's a high chance that they are legit than if they don't even have at all. So it's something to also look out for. I mean, what it means is that when you see the name of the company, at least you will see the name of the person at whatever company it is .com. You get something like that. So but if you don't see a business address, you see a personal address, you have to put on your what? Your cautious hat. Now, another thing to take cognizance of is if you actually get a job offer without an interview, and that's a problem, because no employer in his right sense will actually employ anybody without an interview, even if it is just to have a call, have a chat, and then you discuss. But if there's nothing like that, and then they just send you an offer letter, said that yes, you applied something, or they saw your application somewhere, I mean, that is totally a red flag. Now, another thing that some scammers do is that they reach out to you and say they want to interview you via your social media handle or via a messaging platform like WhatsApp or Telegram. Once you start seeing something like that, just know it's a big red flag, because oftentimes what those guys do is once you chat them up or you respond via any link that they share with you, they are able to actually hack your messaging platform, whether your WhatsApp or Telegram. So you have to be very cautious of that as well. Another thing they do is they request that you send them a mail. I mean, I've seen situations like that when they actually reach out. Maybe you have made some applications on Indeed, and then you just suddenly get a mail saying that you should actually send them a mail or send them your email address. I mean, for somebody to have reached out to you, they are supposed to actually have your email address. So if they are not saying that you should send them your contact details, I mean, in terms of your email address, I mean, that means that is a big red flag. Another thing to be cautious of is when they send you an offer letter and you see an unrealistic salary. I mean, you see something like they are putting like $100 an hour, when you are considering the fact that the kind of job you are looking to get is not supposed to even be as high as that, then it should also be a red flag. Another thing is if you are actually getting a job offer that does not match your experience. So for example, although you've applied, but you discover that the recruiter is actually sending you to interview for a role that does not even match your experience or what you applied to, then it's also a red flag. Another thing is that there are times when a job might even be emphasizing work from home, and because you know that work from home is very popular now, they will just tell you that, oh, this job is work from home. Meanwhile, the job you're applying to is a construction worker job or an HSE job or a cleaning job. How can you get a cleaning job and you'll be working from home? So those are some of the things that you have to be cognizant of when you are reading the offer letter. I mean, there are times when even the offer letter will be poorly structured in terms of grammatical errors, and so once you start seeing stuff like that, you should actually start thinking that this thing might actually be what? A scam. So what do? You run. Another thing is, if you actually do get a job offer and you did not even apply to that job at all in the first place, then what? It is a big red flag. And there are situations where they will actually be even requesting you to provide some personal information, like maybe your driver's license, your national identification number. There are some questions that they don't need for the job offer that they want to offer you. So if any recruiter is asking you that even before a job offer, then it is a red flag. They have no reason to be asking you for your bank details. They have no reason to do that. It is after you are through with the recruitment process that they should actually be asking you for all that. So those are the major things that you have to be cognizant of and aware of when you actually are getting a job offer from any recruiter. If there are any other points that I think that I've missed, that you remember or you've experienced, or if peradventure you have even had that kind of situation, put it in the comment section so that others can actually learn from it as well. If you have enjoyed this video, please give a like, comment, share, and I'll be back for more. Cheers.